Hi, I'm Mike, and today we're going to talk about some basic bebop line construction, particularly over 3/6/2/5s. So we're going to look at some ideas of what to play over a 3/6/2/5. So you might come across, maybe on a turnaround or some part of the tune, a jazz tune. In this case, we'll be in the key of F, A minor, A minor 7, D7, G minor, C7, then going back to F. Now, that's a very, very common 3/6/2/5/1. And what tends to happen is these chords are moving by very quickly. So in this case, we're thinking about them as 2 beats each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what is tricky about this is the chords are moving by pretty quickly, and it's hard to, think your way through those chord changes, let alone melodically address those chord changes. And there's a couple of things that I like to do with students. I see this a lot, actually. Students struggle with that sort of thing. So I try and get them to play this line, which I'll play for you now. Explain that in a second, over this chord progression, because just using that amount of material with a few other little tweaks here and there, we can actually sound, we can really spell out those changes. So what's happening if we have a look at those changes? So thinking A minor 7 or a 3 chord in the key of F. And we're starting on the 3rd. In this case, we're starting on the 3rd of A minor 7 and coming down the F major scale, and then landing on the F sharp, which is the 3rd, the natural 3rd of the D7. And then we're playing the flat 9, root, flat 7, and then landing on the 3rd of G minor 7. And then if we were to keep going, so we're going down the 3rd of G minor 7, 9, 1, flat 7, and then we land on the C here, the E natural, for the C7, and then flat 9, root, flat 7, and then we land on the 3 again of the F. Now, it's worth noticing that the way this line is constructed, it's just a long descending thing. And you'll notice that it lands on the 3rd of each chord. So A minor, D7, G minor, C7, flat 9, and then A, which is the 3rd of F. So you get a really strong sound. We're just playing a simple melodic line that's just descending. But it's really spelling out the chord changes. It's targeting the 3rd of each chord. Now, what we can do is add some variations to this line. So for instance, instead of going straight down, what we might do is a little bit of octave displacement. So So once we get to the C7, here, instead, just before, we kept descending. Here, we're going to actually take that flat 9 and put it up the octave and then keep descending. So it's the same thing, we're just displacing the octave. And we're doing it from the 3rd to the flat 9 on the C7. So we're just doing this on the C7 for now. Okay, so that just gives you one variation straight away. So maybe practice both those. So it's actually exactly the same notes, we're just displacing the last little bit up the octave. Okay, so that would be just one idea of variation. Now, we can, if we consider range as well, and maybe which octave we might be doing this stuff in, we can actually do this on other parts of the guitar and tweak the octave as we need it on those dominant chords. So another example of this might be, so in this case, I was playing exactly the same thing as we did before, but instead of descending, we could actually do that, but we might run out of notes down here. So we're going to, instead of playing the flat 9 here, we're going to put that up the octave, and then so here we've done the octave displacement earlier on the D7 instead of A minor, D7, G minor, C7. So, and then we're landing on the 3rd. So still, that's all. It's all the same stuff. We're just tweaking the octave where we like it. So now what we could do the same thing. Another variation might be doing the octave displacement on the C7 as well. So that's a pretty common sound you might hear all the time. So all of a sudden, we're actually just using one piece of material, but we've found 4 different ways to play it so far. Okay. And let's talk about one more way we could play that, where we might move up here just so we've got a little bit more range that we can tweak. So same thing, A minor, D7, G minor, C7, and it's a bit tricky to get down there, so we might play it there. Okay, we did something similar before, but now what if we did this? Put the octave displacement on the D7. So instead of jumping down from the 3rd to the flat 9 and so on, played that up here. So here we get another variation. Okay, and one more variation. That's the double displacement, if you like. So instead of, we're putting that up the octave. So, which is very similar to what played down here, just up the octave. Okay, so I might just recap all of those just very, very quickly. So we're just really just using the same material. We're just tweaking it to displace the octave when we feel like it over the dominant chord. And everything starts on the third. Everything will land on the third of each chord. Okay. Do that one again. Just think about it for a second. Okay. And then up here. And you play these things enough, just treat them as like a piece of music that you really, really learn really, really well, and you'll start to be able to play them naturally. And that's the whole reason for this, I think, is having something to play over those faster turnarounds, 2 beats each, I think is really, really important. Okay, so now what I want to do is give you one more option for which you can add your own variations to for playing over A minor 7, D7, G, G minor C7. I should say we're actually spelling out A minor 7, D7 flat 9, G minor 7, C7 flat 9, moving to F. And that is essentially, we're going to do exactly the same thing, except instead of starting on the third like we did, we're actually going to start on the fifth of each chord. So I'm thinking A minor 7, and I'm going to start here on the E. Now what we get here, so very much just down the F major scale. And what happens is now we land on the fifth of each chord. So here is the D7. And then down the, it's actually the harmonic, the G harmonic minor scale to land on it, which is very much spelling out that D7 going to G minor. So there's down G minor, back in the key of F again. Down G minor, and then we land on the fifth of C. And then land on the fifth of F. So the same thing, we're just all on the fifths. And the reason why it works is all the chord tones still land on the beat. So if you have a look, 1 and 2 and, so there, those two notes on the 1 and 2 and, that's the fifth and the third of A. 1 and 2 and, that's the fifth and the third of D7. Going down the scale, and then the fifth, third, and the ninth, and then fifth, third, fifth. So fifth, third, fifth, third, fifth, third, fifth, third. Now we can do exactly the same thing. We can just tweak the octaves when we feel like it, just to create a little bit of more interest in the line, a little bit more of shape. So still, we're keeping the rule, at the moment, we're keeping the rule that we're going to only do the pivot, or the octave displacement, from the third of the dominant, like we did it previously. So here's the first variation. Okay. I have to think about it. So that's one option. There's the first. There's the second option. Now what we might do the same thing, except for the D7, we're going to do the octave displacement. Okay. So there I did the double octave displacement. Okay, now I'll just show you that in one more position. So we're starting on the 5th of A minor. We're still landing the 5th of each chord. Or it's the double displacement. And it all stems from. So just from these two lines, you can actually find a lot of material just to play over a 3-6-2-5 on the guitar, particularly when it's going, so this might apply to rhythm changes or turnarounds. Or you might just find at the end of an A section or a B section of a tune, you might hear a 3-6-2-5, and you've immediately got something to play over the top. Okay, so thanks so much for watching, and let us know how you go with these lines and see if they really help you negotiating these trickier, faster moving chord changes. Leave a comment and let me know how you go.